So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this interview with the St Vincent de Paul Society, going on the Well of Hope. And today, I am again absolutely delighted to be joined by another fantastic guest. And this week we have Peter. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
Peter's come from Sidmouth in South Devon today, and they've been doing some fantastic work down there, especially with telephone befriending. But I'm going to let him tell you all about that. So, Peter, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background, how you were involved with the SVP. Tell us whatever you want.
Okay, my name's Peter. Our parish priest set up the SVP 5 years ago this autumn. And we went to a series of meetings to agree to set it up. And it wasn't sort of gelling or going. So in the end, I rather foolishly offered to become the president. And someone else said, well, if you'll be president, I'll be treasurer. And someone else said, I'll be secretary. So we formed ourselves in the autumn of 2015 with a focus of really befriending and visiting parishioners who were housebound. And we were given an initial list by the parish, and we contacted these people, and we started visiting them on a monthly basis, but we soon had to visit them on a more regular basis. And we then found, as we were like visiting homes, for example, I remember one instance, we were in a home and we said to the person at the end, well, shall we say a little prayer together? And we were saying the Our Father, and I was suddenly aware of a buzz in the residence lounge. And I realized that everybody was saying the Our Father with us. And we thought, well, fine. And when we went next time, someone else we didn't know said, oh, are we having a prayer again? And we said, would you like one? We said, oh, yes, please. So we found in the end, we went to visit one person in the home, but in the end, we were visiting the entire lounge. So we found we were social visiting, and we do some shopping. We've done things like fixing smoke alarms. Importantly, we've acted as advocates with the care services. There are some people, who just haven't got anyone to fight their corner. And we find that we've now got good links with social services, with the Court of Protection, speaking on behalf of people. We've provided translators. I now know the Our Father in Italian, but never mind. And we were at one time asked to visit a non-Catholic lady just to pray with her. And interestingly enough, when her funeral was being planned by her family, they said, we don't know what her prayers were. And we were able to supply some of her favourite prayers and readings, which the family then put into the service. Mm-hmm. We've also given lists of medical visits, and we've helped organise funerals and bereavement services. And we've found really that as we've approached people, other people have come into our net. And when we have our monthly meetings, someone says, what about so-and-so? And we investigate them. So we found we were very busy visiting people, and some of our people then have moved out of Sidmouth, and we've carried on visiting them because we find we've become like family members. But we're very lucky to get very good support from the parish priest and from the parish secretary. So we feel very supported, and we meet once a month, and I alternate it so that a different person does the prayers every month and a different person does the readings. We've had a wonderful selection of readings from all sorts of places, but it's thought-provoking. And I think we've all found the monthly meeting quite important, that we can actually share with each other. And we've built a great friendship with one another. It's wonderful how a team has developed in a sort of a social aspect. We twinned with Kerala because we have a lot of people from Kerala in the parish. So we particularly wanted to twin with someone in Kerala, which we have. We have good contact with Philomena and the people in Chamavilla. So then really that's the way we were started. Is that enough as a sort of an intro?
Oh, by all means.
I do ramble on.
I bet those 5 years flew by. That's wonderful. So much you've got up to. No, it's the befriending and especially when you're saying you've all become friends. I think so much of that is from sharing scriptural reading and praying together.
Yeah,
you just sort of develop this natural friendship, don't you?
We do.
Even though you may be very different people in many respects, that sort of scriptural reading, that same reflection, just knits you together.
We get to know our strengths and weaknesses. So when a new person we have to visit comes along, there's almost a consensus as who the best person is to visit. But then some of our members are getting a bit old, and one of them said, well, I'm too old to visit anymore. I need to resign. And I said, well, don't do that, because you're very good on the telephone. So I said, just speak to people. So all she does, I say all she does, she started speaking to people on the telephone every week, extra people. So she's still involved in the work of a society. But
No.
But then, of course, everything changed with the COVID-19.
Yes. So please tell us a little bit more about what you've been up to since COVID. And you know, you're linking in telephone befriending now already. So please tell us more about that.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? But the society started during a pandemic in Paris of typhoid.
That's right, yeah.
And I think originally Blessed Frederick and co were praying about it. And they suddenly thought, well, hang on a minute, we need to do a little bit more, turning concern into action, which we think is a good motto to have. So we started off as saying, well, during the pandemic, we'll have to keep telephoning all our people. And those we can't telephone, we'll send a card to, just to tell them that we're still thinking about them. So some people get a card every week, most people are getting a phone call. We can also offer shopping, shop and drop. And we have a volunteer who will do essential repairs if someone has that problem. Then other parishioners have also volunteered to ring, or we found that people will ring anyway. So we incorporated them. So we now have about 25 people ringing 120 people. And we ring them every week, but there's a lot of unofficial calls going on as well as that. We've got about 8 people doing shop and drop. But it's interesting to notice for a lot of people we speak to, neighbours they never knew have offered to do shopping. One person, a young couple over the road, suddenly knocked on my door and said, let's do your shopping for you. And we're circulating. So, for example, this week, Sid Valley Help, which is a charity we subscribe to, has published a list of everyone who'll provide, cafes who'll provide meals. So we're sharing all that information. So if people can't shop, we've sent out lists of people who are providing shopping services. So actually, in a funny way in our parish, it's a lot closer than it was before. Also, people exchange where they're going to Mass. One lady's going to Singapore Cathedral every month because she likes the way they say it there. But interesting to note that, you know, although we haven't been in church for a long time, many links are much stronger. For example, last week, parishioners were celebrating their diamond wedding, and they were having Mass said in a church in London, and so many of us joined that Mass on video link. So, you know, there's a lot going on.
It's a good idea. So you've managed to maintain that sense of community still, even though, yeah.
And I'm hopeful that some of these extra volunteers will want to join the society after this is all over.
Yes.
Because we're trying to include, I send out a weekly update, and we try and include some of our Vincentian Carrims and Blessed Frederick's thoughts in it to start trying to make them feel part of the widened Vincentian fellowship.
So already future planning.
Well, we're all getting older, you see, Alec. You've got to be careful, but, you know, some of our members are getting on to 80, others early 70s, but you've got to bring on new people.
No, very true.
Eventually, we shall all end up as beneficiaries, some of us sooner than others.
We'll leave that thought.
You're wild.
I will a little bit. Anyway, okay. So, in terms of the work that you've been doing and what you've been seeing during this crisis, what do you think is the most important work that we can do at the moment? So, what's the best service that we can provide for other people? What's the most impact that we're having at the moment?
I think the big effect is people are really, really touched that other people are thinking about them. And that's not just people who live alone. Even people in a small family unit love to speak to a different person. And when you ring someone for the first time, the reaction is, oh, how lovely of you to think of me. Oh, I'm so pleased. Thank you for thinking of me. And we've only had, out of about 120 approaches, one person who said, don't contact me again. So everyone else. And we've also contacted various people who are not regular churchgoers. And they were very touched that the parish Because I rang them up and we rang them up and say, oh, well, of course, I haven't been to mass. We say, we're not interested in that. We want to talk and check you're all right. And I think you never know quite what that might yield.
That's a good idea, actually. I suppose cast the net wide, and you bring more fish in, I guess.
But we're lucky to have a very dedicated team, and everyone is working together. And as I said, the parish priest is very supportive, the parish officer very supportive, and everyone's working in tandem, and it's wonderful to see. But I think the main thing is people don't feel isolated. You mustn't let people feel isolated. I mean, most people we've spoken to have got their shopping sorted. They've got relations, they've got friends, or they've got, various stores. But they just like the fact that someone is bothering about them.
Yeah, it's I suppose so often, even when things go back to normal, I suppose that thought, knowing that someone else is thinking about you, you don't get then even, do you? Because you go to mass and you maybe have a conversation, but even then you don't get that sort of interaction, that sort of knowing that someone has actually thought whether you're okay or not. But now I guess it takes a bit more of effort to get in touch with someone, and so it shows a bit more care, I guess. Yeah,
it does, and we're hoping when this is over that we can maintain some of his telephone contacting. We don't want it all to stop.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. And whether we ever go back to full normal anyway is debatable, and how far that is. Yeah, very true. Okay, so what in terms of so we've heard about all the great stuff that's going on, but what else do you think the SVP could be doing? Is there anything that we're missing, or is there anything we need to do more of, or is there a gap we should be filling at the moment? I'll be keen for your thoughts.
Well, we took a decision when we started that we wouldn't do anything that was being done well already. So, for example, in Sidmouth, there's a very efficient food bank being run already. So there's no need for us to run a food bank, although some of our members work in food bank. There's a very efficient system of people who run various Christmas lunches. So there's no need for us to do that, although some of our members do. We have another society which provides people with lunch every day. Now, our people are nearly all there on a Tuesday, so they're providing that. So, but if those facilities don't exist, then I think we need to look at them. Another decision we made was that we deliberately kept our roles separate from Eucharistic ministers, although many of us hold both roles. And where someone is being visited by a Eucharistic minister, we try and make the SVP person who visits couple different. So that person will get 3 visitors, 1 Eucharistic minister and 2 SVP. And we try and keep the meetings separate. In fact, the Eucharistic minister, obviously, that's very specific. If we go, we will say prayers if they want to. Some want to, some don't. So for some, it's totally social. For others, there's a spiritual dimension. And we let the person we're visiting really decide that. So I think that you need to look at your own areas. I mean, if we were in a city, for example, and I know, we have dealt with one family which had a problem, but I mean, our population is largely retired. So we've looked at loneliness as the main problem. I know the society is very active. I know our colleagues in India are very active in training young people so they can get a job. And they're training a lot of young people in self-employment because it's difficult for Christians to get employment sometimes. So I think you have to look at the gaps and plug them, which is why we joined. I'm a member too of a local charity called Sid Valley Help, which looks at the area as a whole and sees where there are gaps. And that recently identified youth health as a problem. And they've set up a lot of initiatives to help youth health. But what they do is, if there's not an organization, they try and set one up. So we do work with other organizations. And one of my jobs in Sid Valley Help is I liaise with the other Christian churches. And I know that most of the other Christian churches in Sidmouth are doing various activities during this pandemic.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a good answer, anyway. So in terms of what we could be doing, I suppose we're probably doing everything, but just not all in the same place. And it's all about trying to meet the need that's around you. And as you said, plugging the gaps rather than perhaps thinking that you're missing something.
No.
I always find, especially actually with Frederick and Vincent, the need sort of comes to us, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do need to get out there and we need to be active about it, but a lot of the times it's sort of, in terms of filling gaps, we're told to fill the gaps. The gaps come to us and then we fill them, if that makes any sense. So
No,
that's a good answer.
So there's no sort of golden rule. A conference should do this. A conference should do
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. It's just filling what's around you and trying to be creative about it as well, actually, I guess. Yeah. Well, interesting.
Also, find your members and what their particular strengths are and what they're good at, and trying to use your members to that best advantage.
That's good advice. Yeah, because all members will be different. Some have a much older age range. Some younger. Some with different backgrounds. I mean, I know we've got people who are particularly good with maths and people who are good with organisation, and so that plays to those sort of skills. And then you have other people who are really good at befriending. And so I guess no, that's a good point as well. That's a very good point. So to sort of to wrap it up a little bit, I should ask you the same question we've been asking everyone. So do you have a message or any spiritual advice for those people out there who might be struggling or starting to lose hope during this crisis?
I don't think I'm qualified to give spiritual advice. I try and say the rosary every day. I find very calming. I think that the spiritual advice that I would give people is the prayer of Teresa of Avila, and which I recently circulated to our people, because it's a prayer we frequently say during our own meetings, and it's a very well-known meditation. And I put, the one, Christ has no body on earth but ours, that particular. And I've added, with permission of St. Teresa, ours are the friendly voices he uses to comfort his people on the phone. His is the shopping we deliver to those in need. And I think that we just, when people, say, they're very alone, we just try and remind people that, prayer, they just, God is, the Holy Father is, I think, a wonderful example of prayer. But I do remind people every other week, the Holy Father said that we have to be cheerful. We can't be sourpusses, or as he put it, vinegar.
That's it. Vinegar faces, that's it,
yeah. I think, there are times for private prayer, and for people who are feeling alone, there is that private prayer. They can always ring somebody. You don't have to wait to be rung. You can always ring. There's nothing to stop anyone who's feeling lonely picking up the phone. I read someone recently was ringing 10 people on their Christmas card list every day as an idea. And a lot of the people I speak to who we've been ringing are now ringing other people. So although we can't visit, we can email. I broke the habit of a lifetime and joined Facebook.
Yeah.
But you have to, the Lord helps those who help themselves in a way, and therefore you need to be proactive. Ring people. We can all be disciples in our own way.
No, that's very true.
In the spirit of Frederick. Yeah,
no, that's very true. No, some very, very lovely words. No, absolutely wonderful. And the prayer is, I like the twist of the words. Is good. It's very clever. And I'm glad St. Teresa herself approves.
Yes. Well, I like to think she does.
We've got to be careful, otherwise you'll get a visit in the middle of the night.
Yes,
we don't want that.
Yes. Well, she was a rather awkward woman, I think.
Well, she knew what needed to happen, and she made it happen. That's for sure.
I heard the story that she once went out in a terrible storm, and she got back drenched in a terrible state, and she went in and ticked our Lord off in the tabernacle, and he said, "I save such sufferings for my special friends." And she's supposed to have replied, "It's little wonder you have so few friends, Lord." You might want to edit that out.
Oh no, that's staying in now. That's 100% staying. Oh, anyway, Thank you very much, Peter. It's been wonderful having you, actually, and I'm sure all the members are gonna love to hear about what you've been up to, and some really good advice there as well. So thank you so much for joining.
Thanks. Bye bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, whether you found this recording through YouTube or through the website, The Well of Hope, please do have a look at some of the other videos and the resources that we've created here, some of the reflections and some of the stories, such as Peter's here, from all over the country. If you are further interested in the work of the St Vincent de Paul Society, then please do take a closer look at our website. If you are out there and you realise you are actually in need, and there is something and there is some way in which we can help you, then please also get in touch. There are email addresses and phone numbers on the website. Alternatively, if you would like to make a donation, then you can also do that through the website or give us a ring, and there are telephone numbers all guiding you through that on the website. But I think it's key for me to say now that, as always, you are all in our thoughts and prayers, especially in our prayers at the moment. And we would ask again that you keep us in our prayers, and all the frontline workers and all members of the SVP in your prayers. So please do continue to knit everything together with this spiritual dimension, and to remember that Christ is with us and that he will help us through this. So we'll leave you now. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope to meet you on another recording. Thank you very much. Bye.